Hi, I'm Tom Longan from Waterford City and County Council, and I'm going to give you a presentation just on site inspections and some of the stuff we observe when we're out on site. So we're just going to do it in four parts, just the site selection preparation, common issues and responses, complaints and how we deal with them, and then some just general observations at the end. So how we select our sites comes from two documents, the Code of Practice for Inspecting and Certifying Building Works and the Framework for Building Control Authorities. And in those, they tell us that we should adopt a risk management based approach and consider such matters as the use of the building, the type of construction, the level of experience of the design team and the builder, and any past experience we would have had with the people on the site. I suppose we would also do a geographical spread down here in Waterford, in that a lot of our risk management based approach findings would be in the city, but if we're just to concentrate on those, we would leave out a lot of the smaller towns and villages around the county. We have service indicators with local government, which tells us to carry out between 12 and 15% of inspections on new buildings for which valid commencement notices have been received. So these are some of the common enough kind of issues. Like, this is a radon barrier that's been put in and it's been damaged, and then someone's come along and tried to repair it, but not to any kind of a satisfactory level of repair. So we would take some photographs and send out a Section 11 request letter, and the assigned certifier would come back with something like this that would show us another photograph coming back in, showing us the repairs that would have been made there. And that's kind of detail that we're looking for. This is a product called XTRATHERM CAVITYTHERM, and it's insulation, and it's got two sides of it. On the inside, it's supposed to be a foil-based side for keeping in the heat inside the house, and the outer layer is supposed to be a plastic sheeting that carries the water. If water comes through the outer leaflet block, it will run down the plastic and run away from the building. I suppose we go out on site sometimes, and what we see is like the photograph in the middle, where the layers are turned either way, which probably reflects badly then on the product. It probably doesn't work to the standards it's supposed to. And you can see as well, just the foil-based side, that kind of a gap of 15 mil isn't going to do much to retain heat inside in the building. This is heat producing appliances, where timbers are supposed to be kept 14 millimeters away from a chimney, and you see the picture on the left here, they're nailed to the chimney. So again, you take a picture and then the assigned certifier comes back with the picture on the right showing the timbers haven't been moved away from the chimney. This is the one that we still get. It's still common enough, and when you explain it to the homeowner, they're not happy enough. They're not very happy that the keys were installed. But this keys in bedroom windows, and it's a Part B problem that if there's an emergency, you shouldn't be fumbling around looking for keys. So again, the picture on the left shows the key in there. The picture on the right shows us a push button assembly. Another one that we get a few problems with is ventilation, and this is a Section 11 request letter we sent out. F1 means of ventilation, adequate and effective means of ventilation shall be provided for people in the buildings, because in this particular one there was no vents in the walls. But even sometimes when the vents do go in, there are still issues with it. The picture on the left here is a housing scheme in Dunmore East, where all the vents are put in all the rooms, but every one of them had been packed in with fiberglass. And then the one on the right is, again, the vent was put in, but the stairs is put in over it. So again, on both of these, you would take the pictures, you would send out the Section 11 requests, and the adjustments would be made on both of those housing schemes. This was some complaints, and we don't get many complaints. This is a complaint we would have gotten from a wheelchair advocate in Waterford City, and he would have been pretty adamant that there was a housing estate going up and that it would not comply with Part M. And we'd been on the site of this estate a few times, and we hadn't seen any problems. So what we did was we marked out the minimum requirement measurements for the house. Took some pictures, and you can see we did we did the bathrooms, we did the halls, we did the doors, we did the light fitting heights, and we wrote back a report saying that, to our mind, everything that the builder was doing was compliant with PARTM, and which we sent on then to the person who had made the complaint. This is just some workmanship issues we'd see on site. This is another estate we would have visited fairly regularly, and everything on this site would have been very good. And then we got down one time and everything seemed to have gone wrong there. This is just a few things. Say separating walls for Part D sound. The key point to watch, the first one, is do not use double coursing, and you can see in the red ring on the back, it's all single layer coursing, but on the near one they decided to go double layer coursing. Again, all the other OPs on this building site had wall ties in at every course of blocks, and on this particular section it was gone to every second one. And then in the picture on the right, we have beams resting on slates, whereas again in the rest of the estate they had all been rested in concrete pads. So whether the block layer had changed or whether the person managing the site had changed, but something had definitely changed there. And in all fairness, they wrote back to us and they said, look, that they sent us pictures showing that the concrete bearing pads were now in place, that sound tests would be carried out for Part D compliance, and that they were going to addressing the wall tie spacings. But this is another problem we had. It's more when the whole COVID issue was going on at its peak. I suppose people weren't traveling a whole lot, and we were getting in CCCs, but there were no BERs attached to it. And when we contacted the assigned certifier, he said that due to COVID travel restrictions, the BER assessor won't be in a position to carry out final processing of BERs for these houses. But at the same time, we were getting in BERs from this BER assessor for other CCCs. So we asked the BER assessor, look, what is the problem here? Why aren't you doing BERs for this particular assigned certifier? And he told us that the assigned certifier had never contacted him to do a CCC, that the assigned certifier had just I suppose maybe just try and speed things up. He just wasn't going to contact him about him. So we contacted the assigned certifier and told him that we would not be validating any CCCs without the BERs. And pretty soon after that, then we did get the BERs that we needed. I suppose this is just another observation, some observations then, just about supply of materials, whether it was Brexit or COVID, I'm not sure, maybe a bit of both, but some products seem to get fairly scarce on building sites, and one of them was insulated board. And so for a while we were going out on site and we were looking at the cavities expecting to see insulated board, and there was nothing in there. And when we spoke to the builder on site, he said, look, we can't get the insulated board. We're going to keep building, keep moving, and we're going to pump in beaded insulation in the end. And that's all fine. But I suppose maybe just depending on the width of the cavity and the U values you're trying to achieve, and the wall spacings then, or the wall ties that you're going to have to use, sometimes you have to maybe pre-plan this. It just can't be a decision made on site, because there are further reaching repercussions then when you try to go for a BER, or if your wall ties are incorrect. And another observation, I suppose, is just the cost of materials. These two products, the piping and the beams, we've been told again by builders inside that these could have gone up by a third to a half in price. And I suppose it's just a concern is when does this become prohibitive to use the proper materials, and when do builders start to look for maybe a cheaper alternative? And I suppose just something to be aware of as much as anything else. Then this is just another little observation we had. This is for any who don't know it, it's still a relatively new type of construction. It's called insulated concrete formwork, and opposed to the traditional build where you've got two leaves of concrete block with insulation running up the middle of it, here you've got two leaves of insulation, and there's concrete poured through the center of it to give it its strength and its stability. We were lucky enough, Richard Butler came down and he gave us kind of a masterclass of an inspection one day in Waterford, and this is one of the sites we went to. And when we were out in the site, what we noticed was they were slabbing and plastering to the ceiling level, but up in the attic, it was just the bare insulation up there. And we just had a concern just about the surface spread of flame, B2 and B7. So we wrote them a Section 11 request, and we just asked them about the attic space. And they said, as these walls are located in the attic space, the following points are noted. The attic space is not a room or circulation area as described in the regulations. And the non-provision of lining space is considered and demonstrated in Figure 5 of the NSAI Agreement Certificate. And they sent on their Agreement Certificate, and in that, where the section on separating walls says that the separating wall consists of the following: 4 millimeters of gypsum skin coat plaster and 12.5 millimeters of plasterboard slabs. And they say further down, and these are acceptable for all areas according to the general provisions of clause 2.1 of section B2. So we kind of went back to them and said, look, in your argument cert, it says that this gypsum skin coat plaster and the plasterboard should be the makeup of all of the walls, but you're not doing it in the attic. And again, they came back with the build-up noted above refers to habitable rooms, while the attic space is accessible. It is not a habitable room. And that may well be right, but I suppose we just have a slight concern. You know, if one or two of these catches fire, and you know, and they haven't done this, well, what happens then? You know, is it a case then the retrofitting has to come back and builders may be gone, and it may become something that the owner has to try to get through? And I suppose we were wondering as well, is the agreement is the agreement cert, is that right, or is it something that should be relooked, or maybe it is just something that they should continue that build up all the way to the attic? But I suppose maybe that's, I think Richard has done some more work on this as well. So but that's the presentation. And if you have any questions, please fire away. Thank you very much.